the abode of a Nazi base. As I was saying, a lot of things are hid in the north, and a lot of ancient things are sealed in the north, and always were. So, as kids, we were taken to the Arctic, and what there was the Black Pyramid, and then there was big rectangular watchers, sky ships that were guarding it. And like I said, they could lift you up vertically, paralyze you at the neck. It's like sky surfing. And then I was taken inside of there, and I was streaming so much data that they put this long grid or type of chip, whatever it was, in my arm, and I put a tattoo over it. It's about this big. And it was just little circles of green flashing on and off. So they laid my arm on this altar that was a black cube. And really, that's all I can say about that. So all that stuff comes down to the funding of the Bavarian Black Thule Society. What else can I say? I was reading about having the Torah written on our hearts the other day, and I realized that, like our memories, the old is in the new contained, the new is in the old explained, the old is in the new concealed, and the new is in the old revealed. So what they did to us to mess up our time was they sent a strong electrical current through the brain to erase memories, and they can implant false memories chemically with an injection nowadays and extract them, but they also had a handheld device, or it would go through the band on the forehead. And some people have gotten aftershock responses and been doing something in the daytime and just felt like a strong surge of energy go through their body and like shoot out their head. And that's a residual cellular painful memory that's leaving the body. Since we trapped and buried so much of our experiences, they have to come out eventually some way, either if it's an erratic way or if it's a healthily guided way. Sometimes it's random, sometimes it's messy, it's just raw energy that's latent. Sometimes it does what you don't expect it to do. The way our bodies work and the signs of our aging and the DNA markers that some people carry that affects inadvertently or advertently other people that were involved, because we have each other's biomaterial and brain link, so we can direct and affect each other's bodies and lives. So it's good to know, is this my energy or not, to keep that empathy and empathetic aspect to yourself, but separate your energy from others, because what they learned is that our thoughts were faster than anything on earth. They could go off world, 1,000 times faster than a second. So we learned to communicate outside of the box because we didn't want to communicate in the way that they thought we were communicating. So we were always trying to overwrite what they did, and they were always trying to overwrite what we did. So sometimes we would be in like a certain situation. Sometimes we would get out of a certain situation. Sometimes we would disappear from a certain situation, and sometimes we would even kill to end the experience of a situation. And then they really wanted to map that out more to figure out your next move primarily. Some of the kids took over the Nazi battles and radically changed their agendas because of it. So then they feared those kids, and they're like shadow stalkers. They use shadow killing, like warlocks use shadow magic or sex magic. They're called night stalkers, hence the NRO patch, we own the night. Or night force attack is another name. And they use microwaves in your house to amplify frequencies and project false information frequencies because they want to scan you more than anything. And, our DNA is always changing, just like the lines on our hands are always changing. And we're an enigma to ourselves sometimes because of this. So, because we're always interplaying with our multi-dimensionality and configurations. And then they also use harp cars to triangulate and blast you with destabilizing factors, and usually it's really loud or speeding, or people just come out all at once out of nowhere. Some of it can be silent sound, so you have to fine tune those frequencies. They can put this out in a diner, and sometimes it's specifically meant for a certain individual or group of people, and sometimes it's just on a scheduled basis for the public. Then we have the Project Soul Catcher, which is also a book, and Project Lucid is a book. There's the diamond black goo programming, which stems from the War in Heaven and the Spica star system, and being a host for the Gua'ul, and Lucifer being the chief angel in charge of music, and that's why he controls the airwaves here and the music industry. And the diamonds on Marduk, Mars fallen off the breastplate and throne of his pathetic realm of his Saturn moon holographic hijack projections and ringmaker orchestrations. So there's the Diamond Spider Wars, and then there's spider alien-like beings depicted in India, where the beings that were called upon there were for vengeance, to mete out things like what Kali did, and then they had spider-like arms. I don't believe these are celestials that are benevolent, but I call them degenerate telestials, because we came here to be terrestrial masters and wipe them all off the board and have a clean slate. And Proverbs 31 goes into detail about that, and how God's telling us you're more precious than diamonds, and how our tears are stored up as gems and vials to the angels, and our prayers like rising incense. So the occult form of that beautiful statement is the diamond programming. And the reason why they put a lot of adamite diamond masks onto people in the music industry and whatnot. There's 34 Bible verses I found about spiders, so you can do your own research and conjecture what you may and your conclusions on concepts like that. But I go to the Word and then I filter it through the Holy Spirit. And what I found, you can use words like navel or spider or diamond and just reference them in the scriptures. So what I found was that it says they hatch adder's eggs, weave the web, and he who eats the eggs dies, and from that is crushed a viper hatched. So men cover themselves with what they make in their web, but it won't cover them, meaning you can't cover your sins in a web no matter how meticulously it's calculated or fronted and accosted. And to trust in the enemy is to trust in that web, which you'll fall right through because it can't hold water. And it's a den of vipers that comes out of this web. And ungodly people creeping in unnoticed. And it says the locusts have no king, and the Joel 2 locust army, and the titans that are chained underneath the Euphrates. And it also says the lizard is in kings' palaces in Proverbs 30:24, meaning that they're either holding the lizards or they're masquerading lizards themselves as kings. So to know the roots of this language, you have to get the complete Jewish Bible and immerse yourself in Hebrew, because truth is truth no matter how you spin it, and the truth will set you free. So go to the roots of it. The truth with us is that we were more crafty and creative than they ever could have dreamt to be. So they were just stealing our gifts left and right. And they had us so messed up, I actually drew a picture when I was little and wrote God on it. And it had the unholy trinity, so it looked like a draconian in a robe, a vampire, and then some zombie-looking psycho guy. So I gave it to my mom, who I was calling her first name for some reason. It's like I thought I had two moms and two fathers. And probably scared her, and she threw it away. So a lot of my stuff got thrown away, and any reminder of the programs. And I'm sure I sketched the island and wrote a lot of things that were about that, and then they also brainwashed me into thinking that I didn't have a sister either. What else? So back to spying, they can also tap into appliances, like GE appliances, dishwashers, things like that. And there's scientific evidence, documents on this, that there's microchips in almost everything nowadays, tracking your every move. Your fridge, your walls, they can tap into your EM fields through that, and they can crackle and boom. I've heard things in my freezer, and there's no possible explanation for things like that happen. It's sometimes a lulling, humming, almost like a curse being sent out is what it sounds like. Then I talk about silent sound. I've heard that too. So, seen the effects of it with people, and it seemed like I was the only one that could hear it. They also use HARP for scanning, communicating, seeing into the earth and into the bases, and sometimes microwave technology they use to penetrate that with radar, ground penetrating radar, and then tap into the seed oil reserves under the soil. They can use thermal tomography, topography, and all sorts of things, but ultimately what they want is for the AI brain interface systems to be run by a false mother-father complex and two hubs, two brains to control all of their operations remotely. Now, people like me or others in the projects may have less than 50% of relation to their parents even. You can have as little as 3% of your parents' DNA and still express it because they've mastered the phenotype and genotype and epigenetic recombinant DNA splicing for decades. And really that's just the tip of the iceberg. So they have the Methuselah Project, Prometheus, and all that. And Kronos is the male AI hub, the little G that ate all his children, the core processor. And they have the Skynet, neural net hubs, cities, waiting to be primed to upload consciousness. And that's why they show in movies everybody going up into some futuristic city that's really just for the 1%. And they're going to call human 1.0 a reject, when really it's them that are rejects because they're rejecting a perfect plan that their creator has already laid out for them to become whole. And there's also tracks in the sky covered up by chemtrails and masking celestial objects coming through from other districts. And that's fashioned after the 10 hybrid kings of Atlantis that will assume that they have and can create this merger of their new world order. But really, the beast is the one who's going to be slain before they even get most of the people onto their fantasy island boat. And that's kind of like into the movie The Island, Ascension Island, a golden key to life extension technology, ibis bird type stuff. Then there's the honeycomb that NASA's been working on for a long time, and NASA makes the UFOs and the floating orbs and balls with vertical lift Nazi research that was perfected a long time ago. And one reason to keep these things in the sky is to condition the human race to accept their dream of the coming race. And I call them the cloud eaters, locust eaters, because they're trying to mask the real clouds in heaven when those windows are open, since from creation all things were created out of organic light clouds. So they desire digital clouds and digital realities to trap life systems inside of. They're Ta'ul fools. We also have things like BrainGate, deep data mining, profiling, Google's Deep Brain, running concurrent to each other, crossing wires. And the 80s kids, they were born from a symbiogenesis research project that was underground, and they were mostly raised by NSA oversight. So they started programming us from the womb. And what they used was nuclear DNA protozoan mitochondrial put in host body using spot-on apoptosis signaling and directives. Then later in life, they were injected with telo restore agents and cataloged for optimal solutions and marked. So we had our own set of dynamic DNA markers and were used as units and batches for future projects. And I experienced electrotorture from the womb, and it's probably why I was diagnosed with chronic PTSD in my 20s, because even in Dianetics I ran into a prenatal engram where my mother was being electrocuted by her father, who had this little brown square device and had a switch, and he'd turn it on and touch her belly, and she went into a seizure because she had grand mal seizures. And then I started choking on my umbilical cord around my neck because she was unconscious and laying on the ground. Then from the womb, we were also exposed to nuclear medicine and had a limbic firewall installed. And we had molecular imaging scans, and it gave us more resilience and tolerance to procedures and their specific objectives and a run of cognitive designer DNA prototyping. But the crazy bloodlines that we were mixed with made us more volatile than what they expected, more unpredictable, crafty, and clever. So they put things into the nanotech like snake venom released into the bloodstream over long periods of time that would give us immunity to certain things and achieve certain goals. Time released things that were specific to your growth and monitoring. So, we became immune to certain things. We did achieve certain goals. We broke a lot of molds. Our resistance levels would increase to certain diseases and illnesses, and calibrate certain subsets. So by age 8, especially after like these certain African shamanic rituals, at eclipses and maybe South America and at other certain points, solar rites were done. Why they did those things was because they wanted to ground the virile energy to make us strong in their eyes. So they would run an electric current to wipe the memory after that again and again. And we also knew what parabiosis was, and we saw symbiogenesis at sublevel 9 that was used for lobotomized clone farming and organ harvesting and other experiments. And they even showed something similar to this in that one doctor show, I think it was Grey's Anatomy, where one of the neuro brain surgeons had a brainless baby that she held for a day and then it died or something. In my family, my grandmother's a breeder, so she had 16 or more pregnancies. Supposedly she had a baby named Joy Love that died the same day, and other unaccounted for babies that I still don't know what happened to. Also, my mom was a twin that died in the